Hey everyone, I'm Jay. I was the lead writer for Plants vs. Zombies 3, What Could Have Been. As of now, Plants vs. Zombies 3, What Could Have Been is cancelled, and nothing from its 2-week development cycle will ever resurface as a playable product, due to the request of EA and PopCap. Just to clarify a misconception I've seen thrown around, yes, EA is within their right to stop our fan game. That's not what we're mad about. We don't own the PvZ IP, that should be obvious. What people are mad about is the fact that our fan game got singled out while many others are left untouched, but more on that later. For the people who don't know what Plants vs. Zombies 3 What Could Have Been was, it was a non-commercial fan game created out of passion for the Plants vs. Zombies franchise. Non-commercial means that it wouldn't be sold, and that there'd be no profit. What Could Have Been was conceived due to Plants vs. Zombies 3 being a downright awful game. The Plants vs. Zombies community hates PvZ 3, and here's a brief summary. The game copies a ton from Gardenscapes, and the main motivator for its existence is to be a cash cow and making easy money for PopCap and EA.
Let's do a speedrun. Number 1, the UI is 1-for-1 copied. Number 2, the story progression is identical. Number 3, the monetization is the same. Number 4, PvZ 3 has power-ups and level perks that are fundamentally function the same as Gardenscapes'. Number 5, the game has furniture and decorating. Number 6, the map at its core is a clone. You look down at the characters and watch them do whatever they're doing. Number 7, this is a puzzle game. You heard me, Plants vs. Zombies 3 isn't a tower defense game, it is a puzzle game. They switched genres so they can faithfully copy Gardenscapes. What?
It's completely unfaithful to the franchise, removing fan-favorite mechanics of choosing your seats, resulting in extremely stale and uninspired gameplay. You'd think PopCap would want to improve it since the community hates it, but you'd be wrong. From the beginning, they have never listened to the fans, and have neglected all feedback left on store reviews and discussions on official forums, resulting in this game nobody wants to play. With that context, it's obvious why What Could Have Been was born. This was a fan game with a team full of die-hard fans that were willing to try and do the franchise community justice. What Could Have Been featured traditional PvZ gameplay with a brand new mechanic outside of levels, point-and-click story sections. Throughout the game, players would be able to interact with the environment around them to learn more about the PvZ world and discover new levels to play. Now, I know what you're thinking. You shouldn't have called yourself Plants vs. Zombies 3 What Could Have Been, and while I agree with that, that was never the intended title of the fan game. The name was made on the spot when the project lead Vander posted his key art on Reddit. At that time, it wasn't a fan game, just an idea of what Plants vs. Zombies 3 could have been. So that's where the name comes from. We didn't get to change it before PopCap contacted us, though we were experimenting with different titles. The name we were most likely going to use was Plants vs. Zombies Fogbound. We announced that we were developing our game on May 1st on Reddit, laying out basic groundwork for what we would do. Exactly 2 weeks after we announced our fan game on May 14th, the project lead Vander received a private message from the community lead of PopCap on Reddit using the official Plants vs. Zombies account.
Hey Vander, my name's I'm reaching out on behalf of PopCap and EA. We've recently seen some of the artwork that you've been creating for the What Could Have Been project. It's clear to us how much you love the PvZ games, and we truly appreciate that dedication. As you know, we're the developer and publisher of the Plants vs. Zombies franchise, and we own the PvZ intellectual property, including the names, logos, characters, and artwork. That work is the utmost value to us, so we must protect it from unauthorized use. We love to see expressions of creativity and dedication from our community of players, and we're generally okay with fair and non-commercial uses of our IP in many cases, but we have to put some limits in place. And one of these is the explicit use of our IP to create new or alternate versions of our game. We truly do love seeing what fans like you create, so we encourage you to review our policy so you can find ways to express yourself with the IP, such as fan art, cosplay, or videos. Unfortunately, the game that you're developing is an alternate version of our PvZ 3 game that uses our PvZ characters, art, and story. For that reason, we must ask you to stop development of your project. We recognize that your project was born out of some changes that you'd like to see made to PvZ 3, and we would welcome the opportunity to hear your feedback on how we can improve from your perspective. We look forward to hearing you soon, and hope you'll confirm that you have stopped development of the game. We encourage that you use that passion for things like art or news stories. And don't hesitate to let us know. We love sharing the creativity of our fans.
When we saw this message, our team was very surprised. I mean, we were only 2 weeks in and had nothing to show besides basic writing and a small amount of concept art. The team were under the impression that PopCap had mistakenly assumed that we would use PopCap's assets, which is all wrong. All of the art, music, and code for our game was created by our team. Nothing from Plants vs. Zombies 3 would be included in the release. Additionally, we were telling PopCap that we were changing our name to avoid confusion between our game and PopCap's, even toying around with the idea of removing Plants vs. Zombies from the title altogether. On that same day, our lead reached out. Hello, Name Up Community Lead. Thank you for reaching out. There seems to be a misunderstanding of the intentions of this project. I would like to explicitly state that this fan game is not meant to act in any way as a replacement of Plants vs. Zombies 3 Welcome to Zomburbia. Our project will not be distributed nor be available on PvZ3's market space and will notably not be sold or monetized in any shape or form. The game will diverge significantly in its core gameplay and will have a completely original storyline. Our target audience is functionally fully distinct from that of PvZ3's. All creative elements are and will be entirely developed from the ground. This will include all the artwork and music. We are compromised to not use any of the creative assets developed and owned by the artists and composers working for EA. Any non-original asset won't be present in the final product. We are actively working on rebranding with the new title, using a temporary placeholder in the meantime. Our dedication to the project's success remains unwavering, and we are eager to see it flourish independently. Additionally, we extend our best wishes for the improvement of PvZ3 to you and the teams at EA and PopCap. Me and the team behind this project appreciate this warning. Our team is committed to making necessary adjustments to ensure our project maintains its unique identity, distinct from PvZ3. Best regards, the Project Bloom team. Working title. After we sent this reply, nothing happened. The team stopped working and waited for a response. We didn't continue working because we weren't sure what PopCap was going to do. I'm not sure why it took so long to get a response, considering the account is run by the community lead. The point of a community lead is to talk to the community, so when you're asking a team of fans to stop what they were doing, I would imagine you would want to be up to date with them. Anyways, 10 workdays go by, and we finally get a response.
Hi, Project Bloom team. Thank you for the quick response and understanding. We appreciate that you're actively rebranding, as that was one of our concerns. However, we ask that you don't use our characters like Pea Shooter, Sunflower, Walnut, or Conehead Zombie, just to name a few. Although you're not directly using assets or files from our games, because you're recreating popular characters from our games in your own pen, you're still copying our IP. We have no problem if you create your own characters with their own unique and distinctive features that live in the PvZ universe. But if you redraw our characters in your own style or make characters that are similar to ours, then you're indirectly using our creative assets. We hope you understand that we support your team's artistic endeavors. We have no doubt that you will be able to create unique characters, experiences, and branding that will communicate your unique and original creativity and voice. We just wanted to ensure we're protecting our artists' work, and that there's no confusion. Let me know if you still have any questions about this.
Fan games that have been released before What Could Have Been have used PvZ characters and were left untouched. Some have straight up used PopCap's work and PopCap didn't care. So, what does this mean? It means that PopCap singled us out. There were already numerous other fan games out there in development, which do the very same thing PopCap asked us not to. They use PopCap's characters, they use PopCap's world, they use PopCap's music. But for some reason, we were the ones to stop, even though we already told them that we weren't using any of their official assets. We had a team full of artists, composers, programmers, writers. We were handcrafting everything. We sent another reply asking why we were singled out and re-establishing what our game was going to do. Hi again, Name Up Community Lead. We understand that PopCap and EA hold the intellectual rights of the Plants vs. Zombies IP and its characters. However, what we find confusing is why this project has been singled out. PvZ has a passionate community of creators that have made countless things inspired by its creators and premise for over a decade, and yet, despite our clear efforts to make every asset original, from the art and story to the yet-to-be-made music, with no intentions or ability to replace or compete with official installments or monetize this project, yet you'd continue to demand the termination of this project. The project currently only stands, in its majority, as my artwork. There's no game. It was born out of love and passion for PvZ and its characters, passion that was as hopeful as the community is now of the Plants vs. Zombies future. Through your hollow words of support, that hope will slowly die out, for you have showed more clearly than before that you do not care. I'm going to use this section of the video to break down segments of PopCap's replies because they make a handful of odd claims. Also, I'm not going to name any other fan games or mods out there to help protect their identity and lower the possibility of PopCap going after them next.
We love to see expressions of creativity and dedication from our community of players, and we're generally okay with fair and non-commercial uses of our IP in many cases, but we have to put some limits in place. And one of these is the explicit use of our IP to create new or alternate versions of our game.
What do you mean, explicit use of our IP to create new or alternate versions of our games? Fans have been doing that for years. So many fan games have released in the past few years and are very popular. They were able to develop and release notable presence online, but we got shut down in 2 weeks with no game to show. PopCap wasn't afraid to take us down, so who's to stop them from doing this to other creators? Another thing I want to ask is, what do you mean alternate versions of our games? It's such a big statement because what is defined as an alternate version? If a tower defense game is built from the ground up and has 5 lanes, is that considered an alternate version because they play similarly? And does it include mods? Because I wouldn't be surprised if PopCap went after mods too.
We recognize that your project was born out of some changes that you'd like to see made to PvZ3, and we would welcome the opportunity to hear your feedback on how we can improve from your perspective.
This is such an insulting sentence. The Plants vs. Zombies community has collectively told you that we don't like your game and how to fix it for years. PopCap has never listened to us once and continues to ignore all forms of feedback. It's such a tone-deaf response and shows that they never cared about why people dislike their game in the first place.
We appreciate that you're actively rebranding, as that was one of our concerns. However, we ask that you don't use our characters like Pea Shooter, Sunflower, Walnut, or Conehead Zombie, just to name a few.
Again, why are we being singled out? Other fan games use PvZ characters and are fine with PopCap. Why are we not?
Although you're not directly using assets or files from our games, because you're recreating popular characters from our games in your own pen, you're still copying our IP.
Does this mean you're not allowed to create fan art now? Again, we didn't have a game. All we had to show was concept art, which is our own drawings and versions of existing characters.
We just wanted to ensure we're protecting our artists' work, and that there's no confusion.
What are you protecting? We told you time and time again that we are making and redesigning everything for our game. None of PopCap's official art was going to be used. Okay, so I've seen a bunch of questions regarding the legitimacy of what happened, and I'm going to cover the ones that I know. Question 1. How legitimate was the request considering it was managed on Reddit instead of email? How do you know that the account isn't a troll? PopCap has multiple official Reddit accounts. Each community lead has their own account that they use when interacting with the fanbase. The current community lead contacted Vander on their official account. They didn't contact us using email because we didn't have a contact set up. We were asked to stop extremely early on in development, and we were still working on stuff like what engine do we use, what accessibility options should we include. That kind of stuff occupied our time, so we didn't get to create one. Question 2. Why did you remove the trademark? The trademark being absent had nothing to do with PopCap's decision. Our fan game wasn't official, so we shouldn't be representing PopCap's official trademark. That would probably fall under impersonation anyway, right? Either way, other fan games and mods have removed the trademark, and PopCap, again, did not care. Question 3. This is blatant IP infringement. Why are you surprised? PopCap has rarely acted aggressively towards fan games. Fan games that were created before our game were left untouched by them. The same thing goes for fan games that used official assets from PopCap. They didn't care. We're surprised because we were singled out among them all. They were supportive when we told them that we were actively rebranding, but they wanted us to stop anyway. Question 4. Why are you making a Plants vs. Zombies 3 fan game? This isn't meant to be an alternate Plants vs. Zombies 3 or replace the original. It has number 3 in the title because the what could have been part is poking at how Plants vs. Zombies 3 is widely accepted as a bad game. Our game wasn't a fan of Plants vs. Zombies 3 anyway. Some people weren't aware that PopCap is making a Plants vs. Zombies 3 until this entire ordeal. Question 5. Why did the team use what could have been in the title? Doesn't it sound like you're begging to be taken down? When Vader first posted the key art on Reddit, the idea of it becoming a fan game wasn't there. Just a hypothetical. What if there was a version of PvZ3 but it's what the fans want? When the idea to turn that into a fan game started, a team was assembled. We didn't get the chance to update the logo, key art, or title, and as I mentioned earlier, we spent our brief development on basic stuff. So when PopCap contacted us 2 weeks into development, we told them it wasn't final, and that we were going to change it. They were happy with that, but still asked us to stop anyway. Question 6. Why did you make a fan game instead of leaving feedback? Wouldn't that be easier than creating a game? As I mentioned earlier, PopCap has ignored all means of feedback on Twitter, Reddit, Answers HQ, etc. EA has additionally gone out of their way to silence criticism by muting or banning users that are quote-unquote toxic in their server. You aren't allowed to be negative regarding any of their decision making without the possibility of getting booted. Question 7. Why did PopCap do this? The reason behind this isn't as complicated as you'd think. PopCap's Plants vs. Zombies 3 isn't doing well at all. The game has a terrible reputation among the public and isn't making very much money. This month alone, Plants vs. Zombies 3 made a total of $19,000, and that's terrible for an EA mobile game. So when they saw a brand new fan game at the attention of the community, they had to act as soon as possible to get rid of it. If this didn't answer a question you had, you can always ask me. I do check my YouTube notifications, but I'm also active on platforms like Twitter and my Discord server. So there are 2 takeaways for this video. To alert PvZ mod and fan game creators that there is a possibility that they will be taken down, and to the comment outsider to tell them why this happened. I've seen so many arguments on Twitter with people unaware what a fan game is, and PopCap's treatment of their own community. People have gone as far to say that we are trying to piggyback off the success of PvZ, which, no. I've seen other people go out of their way to say this was a scam to collect portfolios and sell data, which, what are you talking about? You've heard of a passion project before, right? A lot of these claims come from people that are AAA developers, which is a fancy way of saying games by huge corporations. And with how garbage and rushed modern AAA games are these days, you can tell they aren't very in touch. Anyways, the message I want to get out there to the community is that if PopCap cared enough to take us down, then it's possible you will get taken down too. I'm not saying to not make fan games, but be careful. PopCap used to embrace fan content. For example, a fan recreated Bejeweled inside World of Warcraft. When PopCap heard about this, did they ask them to shut it down? No, instead they flew them out to Seattle and had the fan create an official Bejeweled World of Warcraft collab. That's from an era when PopCap cared, but PopCap doesn't care anymore. I'm not bringing this up to be like PopCap should have hired us, but to show the shrinking relationship between PopCap and EA have grown with fan content. I also want to point out that while PopCap was taking down our fan game, that they are actively letting a sex offender work at their studio. Jordan Adams is the development director of Plants vs. Zombies 2 and has been found sending pornographic content to his female colleagues. One of the victims received a call from EA asking her to be quiet and to not talk about it online to quote-unquote maintain a respectful work environment. It's really embarrassing that we were their priority instead of caring for the well-being of their employees.